Hey, how's it going guys? It's Nate here. And Skyrim is a game full of surprises. However, the exposition to this video probably won't be one of them, as you've likely heard it about 7 times now. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy as we take a look at yet another 10 tiny details that you may still have missed in The Elder Scrolls V. Part 8. Starting off, the skeleton of a man who went by the name of Sinderion can be found in the ancient Dwemer city of Blackreach. His corpse is located inside of an old dwarven house that, while living in, he must have converted into a bit of a makeshift laboratory. Nearby, Sinderion's journal can be found, revealing that he was a researcher who was scouring the ancient ruins for something called Crimson Nirnroot, thus beginning the quest, A Return to Your Roots, where the Dragonborn tasks themselves with uncovering these strange red plants. However, what you may not have known was that Sinderion's a character you could have actually met in The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. He was an Altmer alchemist on a journey to study normal nirnroots, and after first meeting him, he'd even issue the player a quest called Uncovering Your Roots, in which you'd have to bring him back a variety of nirnroots. It looks like his posthumous appearance in Skyrim mirrored the same one he had in Oblivion. Alas, it looks like Sinderion's fascination with nirnroots drove him all the way to Skyrim's deepest depths, where he met his very unfortunate end. Next, we have Thomas. The corpse of this man can be found on a ledge, leading to the troll pit in Bleak Falls Barrow. The only way to find him is by using a free cam or no-clipping your way up to his body. Just above Thomas's remains is a rope, hanging from the hole towards the top of the cavern. It seems as though he was rappelling downward when he lost his grip and fell to his doom. Should you no-clip your way up to his body, he'll have a letter on him that connects the dots. You see, Thomas was a member of a nearby bandit gang, and he wanted to be placed second in command. The tribe decided to task Thomas with proving his worth by roping down into this small troll pit and killing a frost troll. Doing so would earn him the respect of his tribe. Whether or not our dear friend here was prepared to face off against such a beast is up for debate. But regardless, in the end, it was his own poor grip that bested him first. Coming at number 3, while the topic of Oblivion's nirnroots are still fresh on our heads, when visiting Solstheim, find the northeasternmost island on your map. It's quite a small one. Once there, you'll find a dead alchemist, next to a gigantic nirnroot. The rest of the island is covered in the gargantuan plants, which offer 3 times the resources normal nirnroots do, so that's nice. There's also a handful of spriggans on the island, which may explain the alchemist's death. While this is a cool Easter egg in and of itself, it's actually referencing something from the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. All throughout Cyrodiil, you had a very rare chance of coming across a gigantic nirnroot. They were hidden away in small specific locations, with no real purpose behind them. Much like these ones. How a strain of this plant made its way from Cyrodiil all the way to Solstheim without spreading anywhere else in Skyrim or Morrowind is completely unexplained. Perhaps the alchemist brought them with him, or maybe he was just there to investigate. Regardless, this story's up for you to decide. Fourth, we have a couple of hunters' last stand. Just southeast of Bleak Coast Cave in northern Skyrim, there lies a small camp. Nobody will be there when you arrive, but it seems blatantly clear that people were living at this location pretty recently. There's a fresh horse, burning fire, and even some horker meat ready to be cut. It all looks like this was a small outpost for a couple of hunters. But venture out a bit closer to the coast and you'll quickly learn what's really happened here. The bodies of 2 hunters will be found lying next to a single dead horker and 2 slightly damaged living ones. The scene says it all. These 2 hunters may have bit off a bit more than they could chew, or perhaps they let their guard down a bit too much, and were attacked by a trio of these sea beasts. In their desperate fights, they were able to fend off one, but that didn't stop these 2 hunters from becoming the hunted. Halfway through, the Emperor Titus Mede II has some interesting reading material. When you finally encounter him in the Dark Brotherhood quest, Hail Sithis, just before you assassinate him, he'll seem to be a pretty admirable guy. He says that he won't try and stop you from killing him, as he knows there's no stopping the Dark Brotherhood. But a look around his private quarters will reveal that he's been doing quite a bit of research. On his desk he has a copy of The Brothers of Darkness, a book that only spawns in 4 locations in all of Skyrim, and offers a brief history of the Dark Brotherhood. But even more interesting is that tucked away on a shelf in the back corner of his room, next to a literal skull, there will lie the book, A Kiss Sweet Mother. This is very strange, because A Kiss Sweet Mother is a literal tutorial on how to perform the Black Sacrament and summon the Dark Brotherhood yourself. The book lays out how you should arrange the sacrifice, what words to say, etc. Why the Emperor would have this amongst his common literature suggests that perhaps he knew a lot more about what was happening than we all thought. Next, we go back to Solstheim to learn the tragic fate of Usha. Usha is a dead Argonian male that can be found in a small cave north of Ashfallow Citadel. The cave itself is blocked off by a barred door. The only way inside is by no-clipping or using some parkour skills to get over the door. Once inside, you'll find Usha's body, right next to a plethora of skooma bottles, indicating that he did indeed overdose. Nearby will be a letter by someone of the name Monessa, who appears to have been the man's lover. She begs him to return home, as she's convinced her family to overlook Usha's lack of personal wealth and accept him. However, while wealth seems to have been a problem for him in the past, a look around his makeshift home reveals an abundance of gold and rare minerals that he'd been mining from the cave. The man is rich. He must have went about acquiring this treasure after receiving the letter. However, he must have used many of his new assets to also spur a bit of an unfortunate habit and addiction: skooma. Not even once, kids. At number 7, the quest House of Horrors was one of the few that legitimately kind of frightened me. You enter an abandoned house in Markarth, alongside a vigilant Abstendar, who believes someone is using the home for Daedra worship. Once you enter, you'll quickly find the door locked from behind you. Now you're trapped inside. The home isn't just being used for normal Daedra worship, if that's a thing. The Daedric god Molag Bal himself has possessed it, and he will then end up sending you on your own quest of wacky shenanigans to get a mace from him. But as it's revealed that the home is indeed possessed, a quick scene will take place, where chairs and objects are being thrown from across the house as the Daedra announces his presence. Well, when the dust settles, there will be a few chairs stacked meticulously atop a table. This is a reference to the movie Poltergeist, where the spooky spirits in the home do a similar thing, stacking kitchen chairs on top of the kitchen table. For our 8th spot, Gar the Unending is a Nordic hero that can be found in Sovngar's Hall of Valor. However, for players of Morrowind, his name may be a bit more familiar and relative than one might think. You see, Gar the Unending was a character you can encounter in the Elder Scrolls 3's Blood Moon DLC. He would request that the hero fight him to the death in a battle, so that he might finally go to Sovngarde if defeated by a worthy opponent. And of course, you can oblige him, much like the Ebony Warrior petitions the Dragonborn to fight him in Skyrim. However, it looks as though Ulfgar did finally get his wish after all. 9th on this list is a bit of a quick one, mainly because I realized there's a repeat here and I had to edit that out and shuffle things around. Children can sometimes be heard screaming, quote, "Give me back my sweet roll," to each other when playing. This is why guards will look at you and say, "What, someone stole your sweet roll?" They're calling you a child. And finally, east of Winterhold, there lies a sad sight on the coasts. A pair of skeletons sits around a bear trap. One is sitting upright, and the other appears to lie with a bone still trapped in it. It doesn't take very long to realize what has happened. 2 people were out traveling when one got caught in the trap. The other, rather than run off, must have decided to stay by their friend until the end, sitting by his pal until he himself ultimately succumbed to the elements. They also sit next to an apothecary's satchel that has a copy of the King of Worms, a necromancy skill book, so it's possible these weren't even your ordinary travelers. And there you have it, yet another 10 tiny details that you may still have missed in the Elder Scrolls V. This is our 8th part in this series, I believe, so we've covered 80 tiny details, I suppose you can say, in total. And I've been aiming for the ones that are a bit lesser known, the ones that I haven't picked up on myself till recently, so hopefully you learned something new. If so, a like rating is always very much appreciated. And what tiny details have you recently learned about or discovered in Skyrim that you don't think everyone else has? Leave a comment down below. Thanks for stopping by, everyone, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everybody.